Friday 4th of October, paragliding at High and Over. Sits just outside Alfriston, near to Eastbourne, on the South Downs. Busy morning, lots of people hanging around, waiting for some good thermals, and eventually a few came through, so decided to launch. High and Over is a pretty tricky site to fly. Takes an easterly to southeasterly wind. L-shaped bowl can be quite tricky at times, and certainly if the wind is strong you can get pinned in the corner. I was on the wrong launch really, so launched across from the southern launch across to the more easterly launch, and tried to make my way up to get up towards where the thermals were. Yeah, as you can see from the video, it's a little bit of a scrappy, untidy getaway, trying to get up to where the guys were above me. They were starting to get into some decent thermals up there, and I had to get up above launch to get up to where they were. As most of you are aware, being below the launch area is not a good place to be, so I wanted to get up and away from there as quickly as possible and get out of the way of others that were trying to launch. Yeah, also during launch I'd managed to pull my foot plate away from the harness, so it wasn't secured where it should be, so it was a little bit loose and sort of flapping around inside the harness, so again that caused me a few minor issues at the start of the flight. Yeah, after a couple of beats up and down the eastern launch area, managed to get up above launch in a sort of decent position, so a lot happier there, and started to join the guys that were slightly above me and getting established in thermals. Yeah, as you can see from the video, the area below me, which is normally the bottom landing area, was extremely wet and flooded in places, so last thing I wanted to do was come down there, so I was using kind of all my skills and experience to try and stay airborne. After this left turn, thankfully saw a green wing in the distance out front starting to get some good lift, so started to make my way over towards where they were. Yeah, so eventually I managed to position myself quite nicely underneath the green and the yellow wing in the thermal, and starting to get some half decent lift. Nothing too excessive, but enough to get up a little bit higher and a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, most of this early lift was pretty weak, so between about half a metre a second and 1.5 metres a second. At this point I made quite a positive move to stick with it, go with a weak lift and try and get up and get higher, flying above the Rathfinny wine estate, which below is a series of vineyards that have got the wires and other hazards, so a tricky place to get over. There are places where you can come down, but quite limited in places. As you can see from the other two wings, who were actually Nico on a green Photon and Ian on a yellow Arctic R, they'd found the stronger part of the thermal, done slightly better than myself, and albeit I was still going up, I wasn't going up quite as quickly as them. Yeah, this position I was just kind of drifting, going up in zeros, taking a little bit of lift every now and again, but generally not really making any sort of upward progress. So it was just a matter of biding my time, trying to drift across the wine estate to reduce the number of hazards below, and then hopefully either see something or be lucky and pick up some lift at the far side of the wine estate. Yeah, as I was making my gradual progress across Rathfinny, I got to round about or just short of 1,000 feet above sea level, so not particularly high, but high enough to get clear of the hazards below. Looking around, looking up, and saw some birds of prey above me and slightly south, so started to make my way towards where they were going up. Yeah, as soon as where I got to where the birds of prey were, I got the best lift I'd had on the flight so far. So starting to go up between 1 and 2 meters a second. So making some decent progress. And it wasn't long before Nico and Ian saw where I was and that I was going up slightly quicker than they were. Yeah, after the birds said goodbye, we managed to stay in the climb, got us up quite nicely. So increased our height from 900 feet to around about 2,700 feet above sea level. Got us into much more comfortable position so that we could increase our distance and start making our way towards Lewis. Yeah, the extra height also made the scenery look so much better. Some beautiful views this day, looking south towards Seaford, back towards Eastbourne in the distance to the east, and then we got Brighton and Lewis to the west. Some amazing views. Lucky enough to live in this area down at Seaford, so just to the south, pretty much in line with New Haven Harbour.
Nice views, Ian. Some great views.
So after the tricky start to the flight, could actually start relaxing a little bit, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the company in the sky. It was great flying with Ian and with Nico, flying with both of them before, both really good pilots. So I was in good company in the sky.
That was cool.
I think Ian was a little bit surprised to be as high as we were getting away from high and over, so he shouted out, "Where should we go?" So I was quite keen to go a little bit further, hopefully get at least to the other side of Lewis. We've got railway lines, bus routes down there, and retrieve would be quite easy getting back to Seaford. I was quite lucky in the morning. Darren actually gave me a lift to the site, so I didn't have to worry about getting back to high and over. Yeah, we hadn't launched till 20 past 2 in the afternoon, so it was a relatively late flight, and again, getting later in the year with it being just into October. So realised it wasn't going to be a massively long flight, so just wanted to try and make it as enjoyable as possible. try and make the flight last as long as possible. So the other two guys kind of went off ahead a little bit, found some good thermals, but I just thought I'd hang around, use the lift that I could find, caught up with them every now and again, but generally they were just in front of me. So a really enjoyable flight and making the most of it.
Mount Cobur's looking good, directly below us, Lewis just in the distance. Looks like an easy jet just coming over the top of us. I'm at 2,600, he's at about, I don't know, 5,000.
Fortunately, I hadn't connected my battery pack to the Insta360, so only got just over an hour's worth of footage from the first half of the flight. Second half went pretty well, continued pretty much as the first. Got down to around about, I don't know, 1,200 feet or so at one stage, and then back up with Ian and Nico, who were kind of marking the thermals quite nicely for me. Towards the back end of the flight, I was met by Dave Willis in the air, who I flew with for about 15-20 minutes or so. Thanks to Dave for a little bit of company in the air and then finding a fantastic field to land in, almost right next to the Jack and Jill pub. So great skills there. And we were met shortly afterwards by Ian and Nico, who'd landed a short distance away. Also thanks to Mark for coming and pick us up and retrieving us back to Seaford.